Zaide, born on May 25, 1907. Zaide died on October 31, 1988. He is a renowned historian, an author and politician that made significant contribution to the Philippine history. Zaide wrote 67 books and more than 500 articles about history. Zaide, known as the Dean of Filipino Historiographer. Zaide was one of the founders of the International Association of Historians of Asia and president of the Philippine Historical Association for 3 terms. Zaide obtained his Master of Arts in 1931 from the University of the Philippines in Manila, his Bachelor of Arts and Doctor of Philosophy degrees in 1934 from the University of Santo Tomas in Manila. Filipino grievances against Governor. The document as a form of protest, Zaide writes for the constitutional representative of the Filipino people. The document served as an impeachment request for Governor Hood. The document was approved by the Commission on Independence on November 17, 1926, appointed October 14, 1921 until August 7, 1927. A year after this document was approved, Governor Leonard Wood died due to surgery failure.
The American colonial authorities ignored the aspiration for independence made by the Filipinos because they believed that by doing so would undermine their efforts to appease them. Instead, they put politicians in charge of important government roles in the hopes that by doing so would make them forget about their desire for independence. According to John's law, the American government had to grant the Filipinos their independence after they had set up a reliable government. Although no precise date was specified, it was already a noteworthy accomplishment for Quezon and other officials. This opened the door for the bureaucracy to become more Filipinized, which ultimately resulted in the founding of the U.S. Postal Service. Top-tier Filipino lawyers were appointed as the judges of the Supreme Court, while local politicians were permitted to take cabinet seats. Filipino governors and mayors were given control of 45 provinces and more than 800 municipalities, respectively. Filipinos have to demonstrate their knowledge of how to run their own affairs. The Speaker of the House of the Representative was chosen to be Sergio Osmeña, and Quezon presided over the Senate. The Democrats' loss in the 1920 presidential election had a catastrophic impact on Filipinos' desire for independence. The Woodford's expedition traveled to 449 municipalities throughout 48 provinces. The effort they provided was unforgettable to a politician from the Philippines. It revealed pervasive fraud and wrongdoing in business that were managed and owned by the government. The report's suggestion that Filipino leaders were dishonest and incompetent outraged President Quezon and other Nacionalista Party members. After Leonard Wood left the United States, he was named Governor-General of the Philippines by President Harding in 1921. Wood made the decision to remain in the Philippines, serving as a Governor-General up until his passing in 1927. He kept a careful eye on the local politicians' action while serving as a governor and rectified some of their improper behavior. President Quezon and other Filipino leaders did not appreciate President Wood's reforms and realization of American sovereignty in the Philippines. The situation deteriorated rapidly and eventually resulted in the cabinet crisis of 1923. Additionally, he expanded the Governor-General's authority, which had been greatly curtailed under Harrison. The anti-Wood sentiment of Filipino politicians ruptured on July 21, 1923. The event that triggered it was the decision of Governor Wood to reinstate Ray Conley. Conley was accused of receiving money from gambling lords. Mayor Fernandez and Justice Secretary Giuseppe Laurel requested Wood for an administrative investigation. Wood established a board that included the Director of the Civil Service, the Undersecretary of Justice, and an American colonel in the police force. Conley was ruled not guilty by the board, which recommended his reinstatement. Wood personally thinks Conley is innocent and that the accusations against him are untrue. Conley resigned after being found not guilty, and Wood accepted it. When Ramon Fernandez and Giuseppe Laurel realized that Conley had been exonerated by the Wood-created board, they were humiliated. The verdict damaged their reputation because it suggested that the claim they made against Conley was tenuous. The resignation of Fernandez and Laurel from the Council of State were tendered. Additionally, resigning were the Speaker Manuel Roxas and Senate President Quezon. Governor Wood made an effort to regain the support of the Filipino officials who left their position in his administration. He extended the hand, but it was not returned, so he accepted their resignation and replaced them with their deputies. The document that will be published below essentially sums up the compliments and displeasure of Filipino lawmakers who were negatively impacted by Wood's managerial style.
A joint resolution reflecting the legislators' unhappiness with the way Governor Wood was handling the operations of the government is the paper Filipino Grievances Against Governor Wood. It could also be categorized as a letter of protest or petition. One might anticipate that it is heavily biased and partisan given by the political nature of the individuals responsible and the circumstances surrounding it. In his diary, Wood acknowledged that Conley case was merely an excuse and that his disagreement with Quezon was really the result of his refusal to give Quezon control over the government. According to Louis Glick, Quezon was responsible for starting the cabinet crisis because he was in desperate need of a campaign issue at the moment. A resolution opposing Wood's Executive Order No. 37, which eliminated the Board of Control that Governor-General Francis Gordon Harrison established during his administration, was signed by Filipinos living in the Philippines because they were given voting rights and the ability to outvote the governor if they voted as group. This was significant to Filipinos. The AO authors Executive Order 37, an open letter to Governor John Mackenzie Wood, claims that the Governor-General lacks the legal authority to issue it. They appeal to the U.S. their positions and the protection of their political rights by the Supreme Court. The document's final sentence claims that they are releasing it in an effort to influence the American people's judgment and conscience. The first 2 decades of American rule are a major topic in many of the contemporary historical works regarding the American era. A large number of them were produced by Filipino students or American historians. Filipino academics have recently shown an increasing interest in moving away from historiography that is heavily influenced by the United States. The contributions of individuals who took the part in the fight for independence, such as Manuel Quezon, Sergio Osmeña, Jose P. Laurel, Manuel Rojas, and others are now being studied by historians. A persistent and unifying political topic for Filipinos is the fight for independence. Filipino demanded it from Americans using a variety of tactics from the time Aguinaldo declared it in 1898 until the Tidings-McDuffie Act was passed in 1934. Early attempts to win it by force failed because they were unable to defeat the Americans' greater military strength. Young Filipino politicians used the American political system as their platform to campaign for independence. This type of tactic was favored by Americans since it is non-violent and simpler to control. They run for office on their own and use their separate positions to promote independence from the United States. Filipinos felt comfortable debating with high-ranking colonial authorities like Governor Wood on an equal level. Quezon and his allies did not hold back from criticizing him despite his military training and autocratic tendencies. Wood's intention to reduce the autonomy of the Philippine legislative was the primary driver of the anti-Wood campaign, because they believed it would render them unimportant and put off the declaration of independence. Filipinos resisted the Wood administration's re-Americanization of the Philippine government. Many Filipinos also found it offensive that Americans were chosen to fill important government positions when Filipinos had already demonstrated their ability to do so. Because it shows the other side of the Harrison administration, the paper previously mentioned is equally pertinent to the study of the Philippine history. The Filipinization of the bureaucracy and the steady rise of local politicians to important positions in the government account for a large portion of what people know about this time period. When Wood entered, he revealed the consequences of Harrison's neglect to erect safety barriers. Filipinos despised Wood not because he supported America, but rather because he put policies in the place to stop wasteful politicians from spending extravagantly. Additionally, it implies that not all Wood's detractors fought for Philippine independence with honor and good intentions. Some were merely using distracting strategies to draw Filipinos' attention away from their unethical acts.